probing and interrogation.
I see the greater objective for the party, and let me tell you, I've told the PDP in some locations that, gentlemen, be careful. Better men have founded parties that have gone into oblivion. Where's the party of Awolowo? Where's the party of Azikwe? Where's PRP of Rimi? Political parties must be nurtured, they must be reinvented, they must be true.
Join Mɪᴅ-ᴜᴇᴇᴜ and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM for thought-provoking conversations, voices from the top, engaging interviews, in-depth analysis on all matters around politics, policies and governance. Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM, bringing the right perspectives to everything politics.
Politics not big business.
A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Midweek Politics live on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. I want to believe your day has started well. Well, it depends on what part of Lagos you stay as we speak. It's been a very wet Wednesday morning in the city of Lagos. So, if you're driving, please drive safely. And of course, the road could be a bit, slippery as we speak because of the rain. It has rained in some part of Lagos. It's currently raining in some part, and I'm very sure of that. For those that have not felt it, don't worry. It's coming to you. Everybody will feel it today. It's a Wednesday, and today is the 25th day of the month of September 2024. We're counting down to the 64th independence anniversary of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1960 till now. And like I said, Nigeria across board, and there's going to be a whole lot of build up to that. So you have to keep your dial locked on Mainland 98.3 FM to follow the conversation and position. Hey, Said Fuad is here, and there's just a lot to talk about. The last time we were here was last week Wednesday, and then we had projections ahead of the Edo 2024 gubernatorial elections. The calculations, expectations. At the end of the day, it's a tale of who gets what. And as a build-up to the election, a lot of people will have said, "Oh, every politics is local. I will decide to take our own pace the way we want to do it." So, the senator currently representing Edo Central Senatorial District, Senator Monday Okpebolo, is now the governor-elect on the platform of the APC. On the show today as well. Then the back and forth between the former governor of Zamfara State and the current minister of defense for state and his predecessor. And so his successor, both of them are really, Governor Dauda Lawal alleged that the current Minister of State for Defense has some connection to payment of ransom to Vice. Is asking the United Nations to push for debt reliefs for our friend Victor on a compulsory sabbatical. So he's away for today. He's going to return to the show next week. On the turn of 2 o'clock, we'll open the phone lines for you to also respond and join the conversation. Side forward, Edo 2024 is come, is gone. The attention is shifting right now to Ondo State. November 10, 2024, another round of gubernatorial off-cycle elections, and it continues again in 2025. There's going to be Osun, there's going to be Anambra, all of those things. But hey, what is your takeaway from the Edo election? Remember the build-up to the election, there were fears, there were a lot of apprehension, security issues and all of that. At the end of the day, even the United States observers have said the election was
this afternoon, and it's simple. Nothing has changed. Again, if we have to deploy over 30,000 policemen for just one off-cycle election, if it was a general election, I'm sure we would not have the luxury of that number of security operatives, watching over electorates and the electoral process just to elect a governor of a state. So I think the police said it was 35,000. If you are going to add other security operatives, we're probably talking about close to 40,000 security operatives to take charge of an electoral process. Speaks to the fact that, look, there's still a lot of issues with our electoral process. because it was just one state.
Just one state.
That was why we could do all of that. Because
2.6 million registered voters.
And so that's number one. I mean, the fact that, look, we had to a great extent, fortify what was supposed to be the security architecture of this should get us worried and get us thinking about the sanctity of the entire electoral process. The second one is the issue of voter apathy. We've been talking about it. It happened in the last general elections. The entire vote tally of the last general elections was less than a quarter of the number of people that registered to voted in the last general elections, despite even all of the mobilizations, the the energy that came with the registration and then the obedience movement. Despite all of that, the numbers again, we can say that's the lowest, but I think it's the most realistic. Because again, no matter what anybody thinks about the fact that, look, Beavers was messed up in some areas, IREV was a problem, and I think to a great extent this last election, despite all of the problems around it, showed that the figures were
2015 election was a drama.
Even the Obasanjo era, you had millions coming from different regions. So basically,
Bruno will come, Kevin will come,
cancel you out, and then
Kano.
So introduced Beavers at least to check this idea of
SSCs,
ballot fabricated numbers, and so. Yes, Beavers, IREV, all of them were not real figures. And has also pointed to the fact that, look, people register to vote not because they want to vote on election day.
Some of them just need their PVCs.
Some of them are even using it as a valid ID card.
Yes, because it's valid.
It's valid. You can use it. So do you have a PVC? So I think that was just it. Oh, I just want to have it. Because on elections day, yes, people turned out, the numbers were high. But if you look at the number of registered voters and the number of voters on elections day, it should get us worried. And the same thing happened in Edo State. Less than 700,000 plus, right?
Now,
yes.
Barrister Adams Atta was on the show yesterday.
Yes.
And he said something. He said, I have 25 over 100. And he said something that maybe when we are talking about reviews in electoral laws, we should set that benchmark.
Yeah.
Because the registered voters in Edo State, accredited voters on that day was 604,000. That means over 2 million people stayed away. Out of the 604,000,
yes,
about 594,000 actually came back after being accredited. Well, the state that has almost 3 million voters, 2.6 million registered, only 604,000 came out to accredit for the election. Declared. That is what. So you have a governor governing a state with less than maybe 16 or 17% of the total voters, because the PDP had almost about 194,000. The APC had about 200,000. Got less than maybe 16 to 17 or less of the number.
It will be very difficult. I'm going to force people out, really, because again, it's within the rights of Nigerians to register and not vote on elections day. That's where many people think it's a responsibility that they must do. That's the question, because we keep talking about the fact that there's a lot that is being said about votes, register to vote, voter sensitization. In fact, I think during the during the issue of the elections, there was also the problem of parties complaining that these figures show that people have voter apathy. I think it was during the collation. And
the PDP collation officer challenged the entire 18 local government election, even the ones the PDP entered. And I just kept my mouth open, like, I felt like, how did we get to this point where a governor's peace accord, there was deployment of security, there was everywhere was charged up for a simple off-cycle election of 18 local government, just one.
Well, legitimacy, luckily for those that are not satisfied with the entire process,
they'll go to court.
There's a post-election opportunity that I think we'll have a final say on this. But if you look at the numbers, what I'm saying is that it has shown that, look, a lot of people are political, but when it comes to real participation, I think a lot of the elites who are busy on social media, who analyze, who argue about these things.
Some of them don't have PVCs.
They don't have PVC,
Some of them are not resident
in the state. Who have any TV appearance. Olumide Apata was busy. He went to all radio and TV stations.
Basing on online polls.
The handlers of Senator Monday Okpebholo, who is now the governor of elect in Edo State, says that look, you don't win these elections by going on TV.
It's not audio conversation.
It's not, because
it's
the
a
lost audience of Tūrēnchi and so much.
They are holding their phones. They are chilled.
They are just, on elections they will not even step out of the house. They will stay there to monitor this. Even the best platform to reach.
Yes.
With all due respect to TV stations and all of that. He's just saying that look, when it comes to grassroots politics like governorship election,
go to the radio.
The best you can do on broadcast medium is to look at radio. That's where you and I think what he's saying is that look, the voters are not really the elitist class. They won't come out on elections day to vote. They will be there monitoring.
Some of them are in Lagos with us.
And they are talking about Edo State. Some empirical facts as to what really brings out the people to vote and how do you really win elections. So again, on the turnout of voters, it has shown that look, there's a problem somewhere when it comes to voter apathy. We are not getting the numbers we should be getting.
So who should fix that problem?
Luckily, the returning officer, while collating the results of the elections, I told a party agent that look, it's not just the job of INEC alone get people to come out to vote on elections days. That the internal democracy
of those political
is
parties
even problematic. It's a gated kind of democracy.
True.
People, the way they carry themselves, you don't want to go back there the next day, because these are people. It's about who do you know, what they are looking for. Then the conversations is not open really for any intellectual engagement. Let's just stay away from this thing. They see it as too dirty to come into it. Like I said, people just register because okay, they say, do you have a PVC? Yes, I have it. But they are not so motivated to want to participate, in the entire it and run away with it. So that's also one part of our system that we need to check. The other one, Opeyemi, is the announcement of results. And I think people should be less emotional, making it a national emergency, making it a national agenda that look, we must reform the entire electoral process. No matter any legal implications to validate election results.
Yes.
So if the courts,
it is what is being collated that matters, not the RF.
So for people who come and say, oh, PDP, what was applied on RF is different. The courts have said that look, no matter the disparity you have with what we have here and what the returning officer signed,
that is valid.
That is valid. So they've made you to understand that look, part of the processes as given by INEC, but when it comes to legal interpretation of valid votes cast, and now you can. The IRF is more like
the one signed by the prof.
It's
the returning officer.
And meanwhile the prof.
Exactly.
And between the point of collecting results
and point B,
a lot can happen. That's what Yaga Africa is saying. That look, we've discovered that at point A, from point A to point B, before it comes to point C, where the final thing is announced at the stage,
there's always a yeast effect.
We've seen some mago. We've seen, but even in law, in the courts, when it comes to election matters, they'll say, are there substantial evidence
if you can't prove
or infractions to say if you have one or two issues, it might not be substantial enough for you to nullify
the entire process.
So again, we have identified several of the problems with our elections and electoral process. Came with recommendations that could solve the problem. Until we implement those recommendations, we are going nowhere. People have said that, it's not even about the electoral reforms, we should reform our own thinking to no, Opeyemi. The average human being doesn't want to follow due process. That's the nature of the average human being. The people that are compelled to follow the law and due process were compelled by the structure of the stand. There's a law, and the law will take its course on you. Do you think in the US people don't want to manipulate election results? Do you think they don't want to snap ballot boxes?
There's an institution that is focused on the whole process.
I'll give you one practice. And he said it was a period where they were having their local elections in the United Kingdom. So he had gone there as a first timer, and so he now approached a white neighbor, to say, "Oh, you guys are having elections. Everything is so quiet. People just go, because that's what we do. Where I'm coming from, you fight, carry ballot boxes." And he said the white man told him that, "Look, you know what? I understand you're coming from Africa, but don't have this conversation with any other person again here. But again, I understand that, look, that's what you're used to, where you're coming from. But we have also gone through that stage. There was a time we also had people who did the same thing, who snatched ballot boxes, who disrupted the electoral process, who had all of this. We have had this episode in our lives. But we've been able to reform our process to the point where it is impossible for you to do it. You don't even think about it again. Like they will say, they don't burn you well. Because you're going to jail. The governors are in charge. So irrespective of their party affiliation, they conduct the elections and stand by the results of the elections. Not because they are angels or structure. There's a structure in place to tame your madness. You do decide to go able to get leaders who are going to see the bigger picture, who are going to live. Why on those states, there's not, it's the same thing we are going to see. APDP is already shouting in Ondo now. They are fine. We'll do the same thing. And then in 2027, the same thing will happen.
There are circle elections from now till 2027.
So we will do the same thing
all the way down.
So and people have said that you can't keep doing the same thing, the same way.
And expect a different result.
We have said it. God bless the soul of Mɪᴅ-ᴡᴇᴇᴜ the late president, who said that, look, yes, this victory has come. The courts have affirmed it.
But the manner at which it came, I don't want it to happen again.
In fact, he had said that if the court had nullified the election,
he would have just taken it like
he
that.
would have taken it because he himself knows that the entire electoral process was faulty. We have to fix this problem, and that was why Justice Momodu Ways and other well-meaning Nigerians were put together to form that committee, and they made their recommendations.
Brilliant ones.
Brilliant recommendations. Whatever it takes us to, we now build on it. But so, and I'm surprised that politicians will now, after losing the election, you now continue to whine and begin to. What were you expecting before?
So you want to benefit from a system that is faulty, that you know is faulty, and you refuse to fix it.
And you are now complaining.
He now worked against you, and you won't able to follow.
INEC did a fantastic job. The APC is just a bad loser. The same way APC is praising the entire process now. In fact, I'm surprised that for everybody that questions the elections now, it's APC saying you think you are parallel to government. Who are you? So because APC had benefited from across board, are people who have refused to do the right thing, but are always happy to either praise the process when it favors them,
criticize it if
it doesn't favor them. And you can't build a nation like that. Never.
Edo is come and it's gone. Well, except a member of the PDP, the protest started on the day of the election.
Even before the election.
Yes.
And why were they not signing the peace accord? That was a form of protest.
It is. No, they even said it. The candidate of the party and the chairman said they came to the accord venue not to sign legitimacy of that result. The outgoing governor and the Edo 2024 governorship election campaign chairman, as the governor of Adamawa State, Hamadu Fintiri, also supported, chops again for the tribunal all the way down to the Supreme Court. I mean, the lawyers. I was asking Barrister Adams yesterday. I said, how do you feel when you see your colleagues getting jobs to well, we keep our eyes on those states. The way we detailed the coverage of the Edo election, we're going to do the same thing.
You should trust that you get more than the real
is my state.
So
it's home for me.
For his home, I'm sure we're going to get real details of how it's going down.
Yes, the Edo 2024 governorship election. So as it stands, the People's Democratic Party are challenging the result. They came second in the election.
He would file his own case by
22,000. I'd already said the election is peaceful. And they've congratulated the APC candidate.
In fact, what they are saying is that Olubide Akpata is so we don't derail the conversation. So that we don't
move away from the conversation. Yes. Well, at the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly is going on as we speak, and then asking a very interesting question, and it says that UN leaders should prioritize. That is the conversation on the show today. And side forward, your IMF, your World Bank, and then I'm approaching you. I'm a continent. Let me just say I'm a continent. So you have a statutory responsibility to always aid your member states as an institution. For instance, IMF or World Bank. So would also go to China to collect more. We'll go to World Bank to collect. That I brought to borrow money from you is almost the same amount of the money I'm coming to borrow from you. You see the way I used 21 billion to build a house for my vice president. Would you even open the door to accommodate the request I'm bringing to you? Is there any validity?
Again, we'd always try our luck, but
again, my dear,
where I'm coming, we would always try our luck, but these guys are not fools. They understand us. They know us. They have, whether we like it or not, these institutions you've also mentioned, Okoyemi, are also neo-colonial institutions. Because again, we've had the and dictator.
But we'll give you the policies.
But what we're going to do is to create a structure where from wherever we are, will dictate how you live your lives.
How you even choose your leaders.
Choose your leaders. Plot natural resources, continent by continent. That for every continent, this is the number of God-given resources in that continent. And so when they plotted Africa, close to 40% of the natural resources, everything
is here.
40, like if you put together what God has dumped into Mother Earth as resources that can create prosperity for you. Over 40% of arable land on earth here in Africa. So what the guy now did was to now do the prosperity of each continent and everything you have that can give you prosperity. Why is Mother Africa the least developed, the most impoverished continent in the world, despite all that God has given to Africa? What of even the manpower, the resources that God has given to Africa? Basically, leadership. I'm not going to go with the author of the book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And I said we have moved past how Europe underdeveloped Africa to how Africa is underdeveloping Africa. Itself.
True.
Because it's not a collaboration.
True.
And if you look at nations, who discovered these neo-colonial tendencies early and decided to fight it, those nations are now doing very well. There was a time where Taiwan,
China,
they look as early as the early 70s.
They are all developing.
I can tell you, when people forget so easily, there was a time that the British pound was almost at par with the Nigerian pound. With the Nigerian Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, you see that these were people with their leaders got on so early as to say, look,
we're not going to fall for this.
And if you go and check again, we will develop right from here. When we go out, what we'll do is to go steal what is out there
and bring it in, and close the door
from Malaysia.
The same country that came here to take seedlings.
Leadership, focus, a mystery. Oh, we're not the only colonized continent to Okwemi.
We're not.
So for people who say, oh, the colonial masters, you can't, for how long are you going to continue being the colonial masters? Today, like in Singapore, that was a country that rose through on that development to development, developing to now a developed nation of the world. Don't think they will not give us. They might not completely forgive us of our debt. Maybe some of the lending institutions will look at one or two things they can do for us, but they are happy that we'll continue to borrow. I keep saying it when people and all these economists come with the analysis of debt to GDP. That our debt to GDP
is healthy.
Is healthy. Can you please just add your corruption index to it?
It's important.
Because you're not going to come and say, America is indebted, the biggest indebted nation.
But there are infrastructures that are used, but that is working.
But what is on ground is commensurate with what they borrowed. It's 200 trillion. Our debts put together, both domestic and external, is over $90 billion. But ask me, what do we have on ground to show? What do we have on ground to show? And the reason why you keep hearing our leaders talking about tough decision, we have no choice, is that look, do this, remove subsidy, remove that one, this one, you can't pay this, you can't continue. And that is why Professor Luba, he said that, look, don't do what they tell you to do what they are doing. The people that have over pampered their own people, you work, you don't work, they give you money. Education at primary and secondary
every sector has incentives.
Health is almost, maybe you are on their health insurance is as good as free.
Billions every year.
Colleagues who have gone to Canada. One of them give birth to a child. He said, look,
an
immigrant, not even money, an immigrant. That the entire antenatal process free. And when the baby had to go home, the things he took home, those are nations that will now tell you that no, you can't keep paying subsidy on petrol for your people.
People have to pay
electricity. People can
but they are giving all of those for free.
Okay.
So is it now? I've been in spaces where people have talked about we developing our own model of the Tဃᴇ, because I feel a system of government is not a system of government on its own. It is a system of government interpreted by the people operating that system of government. So the US, that's supposed to be maybe the second largest democracy after India, they have a kind of democracy where the electoral college can override. It's not a contradiction of democracy, but they found a way to work out their own democracy side forward. Should we now sit back and work out a kind of democracy doing that? But Rwanda is one of the fastest growing country in the world.
Fast economy too.
Kigali, but the system is working. It's functional. So is it time for us to sit back side forward and ask ourselves the questions? Is this kind of democracy that we want to use? Do we want to go parliamentarian? Do we want to go to regional? Do we want to really talk about true federalism?
So it's just as simple as that, because this is not what they are doing is not what we bought. Where we borrowed our own, I don't know. Because this is not, if it is the US democracy, this is not the way they are playing it. So what we borrowed, I don't know. And I know people have also said that we need to go to the foundation, 1999, Okoyemi. That's a document, the constitution. But beyond all of that, Okoyemi, no matter the democracy we come up with, development and developing the nation. And that's why it's important that we also go and expect anything to change.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So if we're looking for that commitment, Okoyemi, there are Nigerians, brilliant Nigerians who are ready to go selfless, sacrifice, commit to nation building, sit back and ensure that the resources that God has given to. Look at even people that have emerged as leaders of the free world, United States of America, children of immigrants, not J.D. Vance, the other man. And this is a school teacher, Okoyemi. He has no money, he's not rich, he served in the military, he's just an ordinary American by all standards. An ordinary a local government chairman in Nigeria. Talk less of you becoming a running mate to a major political party for the seat of the presidency. But Jonathan was even a big politician. If you check it and check, we know somebody about local government administration and the issue of grassroots, politics. Ordinarily, local government, when you ask me, chairmen are supposed to be retired into the community,
to develop the
community.
Who
understand the community, they live through the community, they have a new idea of how community should function. So people who are selfless, who are not after,
they have nothing,
they are not after building houses, and they are just there running those associations
with their money.
Sometimes with their money. I was at one estate around Ujudubeja recently, and I saw the way the estate was so organized.
And
then they now showed me, say,
that's election.
If you go and check, I'm sure it's all the old people.
94 houses.
They could not compete. Who are able to put themselves up in a proper electoral process, are devoid of corruption and fraud, and then emerge to run our local areas. You're going to see serious changes. But look, I've visited a number of local governments, and I've had the opportunity of speaking with the so-called chairman. So, and that's the nature and character of the people that we're talking about. The nation is lacking. So whatever we're able to get from UNGAS is good. I think we should even commend the government at this time. I think the numbers were not as, it used to be a jamboree.
I saw the governor of Benue State. I saw the governor. Yes.
United Nations General Assembly.
The entire
MDAs, ministries,
everybody's
going. Who have representative.
I think I looked at the composition of the team that went with the vice president. It looks like their state quite strategic.
Yeah, not
all of the governor. I saw the governor of Nasarawa State. I saw the governor of
people that should be there are there now.
I think so.
I think we should. We don't have to commend the government for doing that.
Because even the coordinating minister of the economy, the CBN governor that used to be on that entourage,
I think so. And I think the president are giving a mandate to say, look, it's not going to be business as usual. If you don't have any business, then you are not indebtedness and all of that. I know the sad part of all of these foreign loans, Okoyemi, is that look, these loans are in dollars. Just imagine, Okoyemi, what the value of 1,007. It means that whatever we're owing would have tripled.
Yes.
In terms of value now, if you bring it back home,
yes,
in naira form.
Yes.
So that's the danger of these excessive foreign loans we're getting without even doing anything with it. Yes, I'm not saying we should not borrow.
They see everything.
They know. Give them, they know they're going to steal it. Don't think it's going to happen. No. Sometimes they tell you there's a machinery to monitor what? Okay, our budget. we did a review yesterday.
As of June,
yes,
that's the third quarter, now 121.67 trillion. And they said the debt office noted that the increase, the increase was from
conversation budget what
deficit.
And in our budget, look at the things we are putting monies into.
So we have a budget, we have a loan now.
If we are borrowing to fund deficit in our budget, one would think that look, appropriations in that kind of budget should be
pay back those loans.
But what are we borrowing for? Borrowing to renovate houses,
empower, conditional cash transfer.
We're going to struggle. They know we're going to get to the point where we'll now go beggarly again, begging. After we beg to get the loan, we'll
now beg them to forgive us.
And so you now continue to be indebted. You continue to be the beggarly continent and nation of the world, and those are the reasons why you can't even control your own resources.
Refusal.
If you want to sell your agri products, you still have to tie it.
Look at the mine in Nigeria are Chinese.
So these guys give you the money, they control your mining sites, they control your infrastructure, they help you to build your roads, and then
controlling your electoral process. If they are not doing that,
no, we already know that. Again, we are not completely sure, but is this how we continue our lives as a people? I think it was yesterday we were reviewing the global news, and the Atlantic trying to migrate to Europe. That is the story of Africa. Blessed mother Africa with all of the God-given resources. Like I told you, plot it, check. Let's plot. Let us start from the Maghreb. Let's come to Congo. Go to Zaire.
Go to Liberia.
Then put that against the level of poverty in Africa. You shake your head for our leaders.
That's why sometimes when you look at the northern Africans and they tell you that, they think, the way they do things, you just ask yourself like, they understand Russia, but how do you do it? Morocco is just a border into Spain.
Of course,
yes.
I think the water body is less than 14 kilometers.
Less than 14 kilometers. You are in Spain.
Group.
Alaji Aliko Dangote, and he's talking about the fact that his revelation is showing that. Let me allow you listen to it. It's Mainland 98.3 FM Midweek Politics side far and Okoyemi Akin having a conversation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu through his Vice President asking the United Nations to listen to what Aliko Dangote is saying about the cabal and the mafia within the Nigerian space. Stay with us.
It's easy to bring normalcy and redecorate. It's more difficult.
General elections in 2023 have created conversations and consequences that will live with us for years to come. From the executive to the judiciary, legislature, media, and the people, it's continuous probing and interrogation.
I see the greater objective for the party, and let me tell you, I've told the PDP in some locations that, gentlemen, be careful. Better men have founded parties that have gone into oblivion. Where's the party of Awolowo? Where's the party of Azikwe? Where's PRP of Rimi? Political parties must be nurtured, they must be reinvented, they must be true.
Join Mɪᴅ-ᴜᴇᴇᴜ and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM for thought-provoking conversations, voices from the top, engaging interviews, in-depth analysis on all matters around politics, policies and governance. Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM, bringing the right perspectives to everything politics.
Business, I've said this in my interview before, where I said that I never knew that the oil industry mafia are stronger than the drug cartel. It's a big cartel. I will say this anywhere. The issue that you are right, they can say, okay, fine, to make sure that this refinery doesn't work, we'll keep selling cheaper. But right now, they won't be able to sell cheaper because they will not be able to take local currency. We will take local currency. We have the refining capacity, not only to satisfy Nigeria, we have refining capacity that is almost twice the consumption of Nigeria. No, we will definitely strike a deal. The president has announced it's going to start 1st of October. So I think between now and the next couple of days, they will come out with a very, very clean agreement.
There's a Yoruba adage that says, "Tomode ba debieru." a robber. It looks like the CEO of Dangote Group. It looks like he's a little rattled. I mean, it's very interesting, and for him to come out and say that it's shocking. Do you know what that means? And he said he can defend it anywhere. So I'm sure it's not just a vague statement or just saying it for his saying. It is that they don't just have what can sustain us, they can double what we need every day. So let's assume that we consume maybe 40 million liters per day. That means they can do 80 million. That's what he's saying. So making his speech or his address, we know what he wants to. But let's quickly get back to the conversation in Zamfara, and it's between Bello Matawalle, the current Minister of State for Defense, and he's okay. I think producer would help us get that what Governor Dauda Lawal said. But let me read what Matawalle has said in response to that. And he says, recall that Governor Dauda accused his predecessor of sponsoring banditry and accommodating the terrorists to the fact that I housed bandits in Zamfara State. Being I dialogue, I was not the only one that dialogued. I remember all of the governors did. The governor of Niger State dialogued with bandits. The governor of Sokoto also dialogued with bandits. Is it because I am from Zamfara? Why? I was the only governor that swore with the Holy Quran that I had no hand or connection with banditry, or I am not happy with what is happening, if I'm including General Ali Gusau and Dauda Lawal to do the same. None of them could take the oath, and if they don't take the oath, that means they're also part of it. I've acted in good faith, as have other governors who engaged in dialogue with bandits, including the governor of Niger State, Abubakar Sani Bello, and the governor of Sokoto State. Yes, I seem to be singled out, perhaps because Zamfara is a complex state with terrible human beings with devilish ideas. Now, this is the current Minister of State for Defense openly admitting that he dialogued with bandits for the safety of his people and his state while he was the chief security officer. Insinuations and all of that, but it is here. We're seeing it. What did you make of that conversation, Said Fuad?
I mean, it's a very sad hit for defense. He's sounding helpless, even though he's trying to defend what he had done as governor of Zamfara. For me, no, Zamfara is home to terrible human beings. What is devilish ideas? A former governor and a current minister of state for defense saying that that's from what he's saying, that apart from the fact that he's trying to respond, and I think they should leave the Quran out of their.
They should keep out of that shenanigans.
Because it's just a complete waste of time to come to say somebody is swearing by the Quran or not. Really, people swear by different things that they don't even. At the end of the day, God is a majestic God. Is between them and God. So, but let's address the issue here. They should leave the holy book out of all these conversation, because if you look at what he said, that he's even saying I'm not the only one. All of us are in bed with these
he's
people.
Even calling the
all of us Sheikh Gumi at different times, and you see people calling to say, oh, they should give all the Turenji. I'm on ground and I know that.
I see everything.
It's almost like the Nigerian state, they are still negotiating and talking to the bandits. So why are you singling me out?
Why you putting me
on
because
this? It's me, or because it's Zamfara, where we have the biggest criminal, the monsters are, the biggest monsters are in Zamfara. So even state by state, they know that some monsters are bigger than others. The story of the Nigerian state, okay. So where do we go from here? Because the back and forth between Governor Dauda Lawal and Bello Matawalle
is exposing how a sitting governor can openly come out to accuse his predecessor, and the predecessor is now counter accusing a sitting governor,
telling him that you to go and swear
that you have not been negotiating. What kind of a mess is this?
It's not funny, okay, because in the midst of this terrible situation in finance, in fact, he has even mentioned the name of a former retired general, Ali Gusau. That you know these guys, you know who they are. You are in contact.
You don't negotiate with ghosts. You don't negotiate with aliens. You are sitting with people,
and that's why people have always been saying that. Look, how do we have a situation where hundreds are being killed, hundreds are being kidnapped. They collect ransom.
Bello Monday.
Is it Bello?
Another one was lying on a road track, smoking, and was saying Nigerians should cooperate with them to kidnap the president.
I saw a link to the video. That's a bandit. In fact, I needed to help myself. There's a lot going on already. I don't want to go me to eventually go listen to, because
I'll just do my job.
I had to do it too, because you were telling me about gray hair, and I said, look, I knew what I was 2 years ago, and I know what has happened to me suddenly.
2 weeks ago, I quickly made a stop to my mom's place, and then when I was coming in, I had the cap on. So when I entered, I took off my cap. She was like, "Is it really something that we've lost a grip on?" It is the palace where all of those are happening.
Yeah.
And the best, a former governor, immediate past governor that contested to remain in office, by the way, not like if each other's neck, or they should be working together and looking for solutions.
People are not going to see that.
He's trying to break down.
So you continue to want to play this kind of politics because, as far as I know, Bello Matawalle is no longer in court. I think the Supreme Court has decided.
Well, the case is over.
So it means that for anything that will happen, it has to be 2027. And luckily for him, it's not one of the. It means that, look, while he should be concentrating, trying to do his job as a minister of state for defense.
Maybe there's 2027.
I'm coming. To know that, look, let's leave politics aside. Let's work
fix
together.
This country.
There's
this
a problem. We all own the state. And if you look at Zamfara State particularly, right from the Yerima era down to the one that wanted to become
secular country,
and then so it's been a problem really with the leadership of that state. And with the Dauda Lawal talk is going to be more cerebral, one thought that it was going to come with a piece of something completely different.
There's nothing different here.
But what he keeps doing also, at the end of the day, what do we get from this back and forth? The people of Zamfara cannot go to farm. The people of Zamfara, as we speak today, are still paying bandits to be able to
access their own farms. Non-state actors are holding
in other states. Niger, Sokoto. Recently, look at what has happened in Sokoto State. And then Kaduna State, Katsina. And we can only hope that the commander-in-chief
will step into this.
For everything, we keep throwing it on this table. He has told us that don't pity me. I demand him for the job. So when we talk about the rot in the oil sector, permit me to say, Mr. President, what are you doing about it?
He's the Minister of Petroleum.
So when we talk about insecurity, and we're going to say, look, Mr. President, you promised Nigeria that you're going to fix the problem of insecurity. That would automatically now dovetail into the issue.
I promised the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Ola-Olukayode, or Pastor Ola-Olukayode, as some people call him, has ordered a full investigation into the alleged bribery allegations initiated to. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the video. But in case you've not, let me quickly read the statement of EFCC. Let me read it in full. FCC has instructed, the FCC chairman has instructed a full investigation. So this is the backstory. They call him very dark man. That's what a lot of people know him as. And of course, they think sometime around, it was supposed to be released on the 29th of July, but it was released about a week earlier. And then below, Yahaya Bello's case has been adjourned till the end of October. Now he's heading to the Supreme Court to challenge the legitimacy of the FCC to probe him. Now, we've talked about individuals allegedly being more powerful than institutions in Nigeria, and that's one of very compromising and ridiculous situation. Just look at these allegations now. Very dark man alleged from an audio. I'm safe to use because when he was paraded, when he was arraigned in court, the court said he identified as a man.
A solution to Bobrisky's problem, but people will not take this serious. You have a very simple solution.
But he alleged that he paid 15 charges, but it was removed, and then the whole idea of maybe from the audio spending whatever it was removed from his charges. And also, because there were a lot of dirty words in the audio, it's not air friendly. He told him that, "Ma worry, prison, that means don't worry, I'm not going to sleep in the prison." And then that they got him an apartment very close to the prison, and they said that's where he's going to be till he served his term. That so he did not sleep a night. Godfather put a call through to the Comptroller General of Nigerian prisons and says he was looking fresher, he was looking clean. He came out, and about 4 days after, he did a party of whatever.
When he came out, he looked bigger.
They had a party on the yacht. She was clean. It was for a problem.
You can't spend 6 months in a correctional facility.
Your body will tell you.
And not come out feeling disoriented.
He came out, and 4 days after, there was a grand party. About a month after, there was a murder of all party of naira to him from the CEO of Mavin Records, Don Jazzy, to certain individuals, even our own celebrated victim yet again. Well,
how? Our own Bobrisky, anyways, has denied.
Is your own to say that you have paid back the money?
So you know,
that paid back the loan of 4 million that even brought up the video in the first place.
If you do a simple analysis of the thinking pattern, the level of social media putting out ridiculous content, getting people unnecessarily excited, and being a very bad example, we are a society where we also allow these things to happen so that people. Because again, whether you like it or not, we have young ones who see these things. In fact, they spend more time
on them.
If we do an analysis now, I mean, to 2%. So, but if you check on their social media, they know Bobrisky. They see our post daily.
Question that where did he get the money, the 480 million, whatever, to buy house? And he said, I have millions of followers and being paid every month. And then the anti-graft agency said that was not enough to afford the quality of life that you are living.
She could not even defend it.
Those
really.
were
Just left it like that.
Explained conversations,
you know. So, I'll quickly read what Barrister Curtis Adigba
Please go on.
posted about this Bobrisky FCC matter. It's very important. He would have been nice if he was in the studio himself. But I had to really pick what he posted on Facebook. Opt people within its fold, and that we have to justify for the powerful, and the other for the poor and what weak. We have one justice system out of this case. Now, this FCC chairman has been battling with a lot of credibility issues, especially with what happened with Ayabelo, you know, coming into the EFCC office and then not being arrested, only for you to go back and then begin to, you know, shoot guns and saying you still declared wanted. And people have been asking questions whether we're really serious, despite the fact that, look, the EFCC chairman had promised that, look, if he doesn't get Ayabelo arrested,
he will resign his job.
So the man you've been bragging, you know, beating your chest,
walked into your office.
Now look at the Bobrisky matter to say that, look, people tampered with documentary,
tampered justice with
and
mercy,
maybe give him community service or something, but he was sentenced to jail. Whereas somebody of influence, allegedly, according to the audio by VDM, now also made a call to the prison officials who got him an apartment, and he never stepped into the walls of the prisons and all of that. The EFCC has responded. They said they are going to investigate. The correctional, very dark man is not someone I follow. I'm sorry, but on this
I'm not a fan. I told you, I've never had to.
And the justice system.
Yes, there was also Femi Falana SAN mentioned in the conversation.
But again, if you put everything together, we're talking about the justice system, where the weak, poor, and vulnerable
don't get justice.
They are the ones that the justice system needs to be.
They are the ones that spend 10 years on awaiting trial list for a crime of 6 months. And the people that are supposed to spend 10 years will spend 6 months after being convicted.
Is this how we're going to continue to run our lives? Bobrisky can continue to deny. I'm sure the VDM
for him to have made such allegations.
I'm sure he's also spoken with his lawyers.
Exactly.
He's ready for the battle.
The validity of
him, that is someone is for the rich and powerful, and then another system for the poor. Exactly what we are talking about.
This is it.
And when you now build a society where people completely distrust the justice system, we are heading for anarchy. That's how it starts. Okay, there are no two ways to it. If you bastardize everything to the point where people no longer even trust the entire justice system, to the point where they hope. That's why we are saying that, look, let us not tear this country apart. It's almost becoming like a banana republic. No commitment to fixing or doing anything. And what he said was that, look, they told him, work midnight. You are safe and secure. That, look, he was able to see what comes with an organized, functional society, and taking off at the Singaporean airport. He said old men were busy working, dignity of labor, commitment to building of what you do than what you say. Okay, when I was in Turkey, for every Turkish citizen, if you go into their offices, their bedroom, their house, there is a picture of Atatürk, the modern founding father of Turkey, or what is now called Turkey. Because Titas was a leader that was able to build the nation, get them together, drive them to the point where a country that used to be called the backdoor nations can even battle toe to toe with Turkey. But it took
It's just bilateral conversation. How many European countries can do without Turkey as you speak?
Even in Africa, we are in Nigeria. Do you know how many Turkish products? How many finished products you
look at your phone? You see assembled in Turkey. You see all of these things here.
But leadership, commitment to nation building, leadership, real leadership. So, but when you have a society where you now begin to have conversations that somebody was supposed to go to prison, they created an apartment for the person, and some people are removing documents. Okay, we are going nowhere.
Well, it's time for you to join the conversation. And in case you just 3FM on X, Mainland FM, on Instagram and YouTube, we're streaming live. It is Mainland 98.3 FM. You can actually watch politics to the very details. And on the show today, we've looked at like a review of the GP, the Labour Party, and 16 other political parties. We need to build up to Ondo election also, and that would be in November. Well, we're also saying that the United Nations should prioritize debt relief for Africa and Nigeria. And the current governor of the state, that's Dauda Lawal, the allegations of involvement in banditry, payment of ransoms about 2 years ago, is the hot position with the allegations by Iḍrɪs Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky, saying that he paid EFCC officials 15 million to have the money released in the maybe like the 3rd week of July after selling. Talk to us about that. That talks about the inconsistency within led into two. One for the rich and powerful, and the ones for the poor and the weak. So let me ask you, where do you belong to? 0913600. In the conversation, talk to us. Midweek Politics, live on Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's start with you, Former. Good afternoon. Good to have you join us today.
Good afternoon.
You're what today? You'll be back next week.
Okay, thank you very much. When Sandra was asking him the issue of this Dangote back and forth, also invited to his studio, and also he give finally the mandate from his Africa will be better, and they signed by the Victor Pelash about Patrick Mubamba from Kenya. You see, that to be great, but with our prayer,
thank you,
Nigeria will become great.
Thank you, Former. Well, I'm sure Singapore didn't pray. Neither did Kuwait or China prayed. I mean, they had leaders that were pop in Nigeria and in all of those countries. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, I greet you. Good afternoon to you, Fuad.
Good afternoon.
Let me tell you something. Here in Niger State, Mainland FM have a lot of fans now because of me.
Wow.
You have to pay me for that, Niger State.
Thank you.
So now, Ufoma has said my mind. I think in Nigeria, we are not really prepared. What happened to Bobrisky is not a new thing to me. This thing has been occurring for a long time. I'm telling you, the law is for the poor man. And the big men, they buy their way out with their money. I don't have much things to say. My own is that 2027, be supplying NNPC. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Dangote. Well, I don't have anything to say.
Thank you.
But anything we are doing, 2027.
A contradiction. How would an organization set up to produce and
an organization that is in control of the raw material?
Of the raw material is now serving as retailer to a privately. Welcome to Nigeria. Hello, welcome to Mainland FM.
Good evening.
Hello, can you speak up a bit? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, it's better now. Your name and where you calling from?
Chinedu from Orisabara.
Chinedu, straight to the point.
Okay. Yeah, my own take is this. Year in, year out, we have been analyzing these issues, and yet there is no solution to it. How do you start?
Chinedu.
The two white men.
Oh, please, wise.
I want to go down.
We are a full house.
That's good. Mr. Fuad.
Good afternoon, sir.
So I send it. What is going to carry to understand? In that politics, no, there is so inside Nigeria, there is only active political parties in Nigeria because they are the structure. The only party I know that is really in the country today, if APC fail, it will take off. do what? To regain. This is still happening in Middle State. I will say, because of the politics of the Liga, the Master Liga, particularly in this country, you know, with corruption, that's for 1999. And it's so many, we had the slogan.
Thank you, Prince Wise. Thank you, Prince Wise. Hope, we are renewed, but we have hope. Achoba Solomon at the Keja say the fact that the back and forth between the predecessor and successor in Zamfara state, just like when Dangote and NNPC Limited or the presidents were at loggerheads, would not save the country from the mess, but at least it will help Nigerians to know how the leaders and people in high places are toying with the lives of the citizens and the resources. Aside lives that is being lost to the so-called insecurity that is created by these so-called rulers. And to crown it all, though not a new thing, but for Bobrisky to come out and openly with his damning revelation, is there hope for this? And every other government agencies, my heart bleeds. Who bewitched us? Nobody. We're just not right with the choice of leaders that we make. That's Achoba Solomon from Ikeja. Are not being punished, so perpetrators will continue to do evil. As for the president request, there's no harm in trying. After all, the prodigal son was celebrated. Well done, men of honor. Olufemilayo from Bagara, thank you, in the studio. I greet you momentarily. Let me start with the Bobrisky and EFCC saga. I don't think I want to doubt the allegations against the EFCC because we have so many corrupt people who are working in our public institutions, and so it won't be possible to believe. It won't be impossible to believe that report. I don't even know who VDM is, but I believe the story, and this is politics stinks. I like politics and governance, but it is attributing their stolen victory to God. Yes, I saw Ojo Alaba saying, when a man dies, buries himself like manner, the APC government under Bola Ahmed Tinubu is full of layers and layers and layers of lies. Very strange. Do you know what? It is time for Nigerians to back our country. Yes, it is. God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much. Them we have in this present regime of ABC, because back then there are other parties to hide under, but the corruption. But now the ABC regime was because we are cause of our problems and we're not ready to fight for our country. Thank you. My name is Daniel. Okay. This one says, as per that, all eyes had gone back to the judiciary again, and for how long? We need to work on electoral reforms again and again till we get it right. President Tinubu pleading for debt forgiveness is just to truth in sin and ask for grace to abound. The answer is God forbid. You can't keep borrowing and keep asking for forgiveness. Nothing would happen. That's Benjamin from Shogun. I will pick some calls and I will go to Facebook. Hello, good afternoon.
In this country, if you've not been to certain places or your eyes, body, or you are there when it happened, you might not be able to say something. So there are certain things you can't say on radio. But probably some of those excerpts, they probably are just true. But I can't really say if his voice was doctored or thereabout. That's left for EFCC to deal with. And for a very dark man, he'll be able to tell them, Zamfara, the thing that continues to fuel banditry is the mining activity. Until we are able, we might not really be able to get a hold on banditry. What it looks to me we are doing is that we are doing the conventional, where it looks like as much as they pour into it, as much as they put boots on ground, as much as they do ammunition, as much as they give them guns and all of that, it doesn't really look like we are resolving it. Because the conveyor belt that continues to bring in bandits is probably more than those that are bandits already. So as they are killing one, they are making 50. As they are killing two, they are making 100. So it's a bigger fight to fight. And as you know, and as I always say, poverty is also at the edge there. You know, beaming and looking at everybody that they need to find a way to resolve. So all these things, you put them together, we'll get to find out that we all have code. Thank you very much and God bless.
Thank you very much. Key line, it says states that have bandits, they all have gold. Okay. This one says afternoon crew. Free. Okay. So long as the need to create a structure and institutions that will make things work. Tell them to behave well on their own. Some people will still call on radio and tell you that we are the cause of our problems. What a bad judgment. Okay. More messages coming in. This is Ifeanyi from Surulere, and it says, good afternoon guys, during your analysis on the day, influences win madly, but the major factor that undermined the winner was the vote buying. Okay, thank you very much. If you're in Pampas from Ikeja says all our government keeps doing is to water down the mismanagement principles. They tell us lies that hold no root in truth for a second. For Nigeria to get better, the head of the camel must go through the eye. Organized situation room may. Okay, in fact, the problem is that this is a long one. It's a bit here and there, but let me see if I can read through all of that. That's Mɪᴅ-ᴡᴇᴇᴅ from ESC are not even appreciating it. Okay, the calls are coming in. For instance, look at the Edo election. I felt like crying. All they want now is to get what they want to eat. When you are okay, we have to just let go of that message. Let's pick some calls. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, good. Your name and where are you joining us from?
Yeah, my name is Fred from Lekki.
Okay, Fred, good to have you on the show.
Very well, thank you. Yeah, so the government or what have you, some things cannot happen in some economies. I'll give you an example. Look at North Korea, for instance, with Kim Jong-un. They're either going to be confined to an electric chair,
or going to be publicly executed,
the issue and all that. You cannot, even in Singapore, you cannot. So again, is to revisit what we call our constitution. We deliberate, are we intentional, bringing back the military structure. I don't know, and putting some level of control and discipline around it, because we cannot continue this way. That is clear and simple. We are going to deplete our treasury. We are going to basically, because nobody who is in different-minded people will stay. They will all so-called darkman, and we are left with what? The mediocre and the very too.
Thank you very much. Good morning. This afternoon is almost 3 p.m. Let me go on Facebook before the people in that constituency come for side Fuad and I. Okay. Let me read your messages. Chili Wheels Oluwatosin Williams on Facebook is talking to us, and it says, "Good afternoon. I'm not surprised by the details of the leaked audio of Bobrisky ordeals and alleged payment of NAPT being substituted in prison while the convict are smuggled out and taken abroad. The country is a joke, and it seems we are all still in this deep. I joined VDM to challenge the FCC and the custodial service to clear their names and culpability in this shameless act in no time. For me, I've lost hope in Nigeria. And who is Bobrisky's godfather? Nigeria is indeed for the powerful and the rich. Father, let thy kingdom come." About what is going on in the oil sector. He asked for this job and he must make things work for we Nigerians. This one says, okay, give me a second. Joseph Jesus says, "Good afternoon, gentlemen in the studio. Please, you should not compare us with other countries because Rome wasn't built in a day." Took that message on our phone lines. I would like to know from you guys if the governor-elect of Edo State has made any on, and maybe he's going to address that issue.
He's visiting people and talking.
He's been talking. In fact, somebody even said maybe he just vibe with the old propaganda of the fact that as anybody else that you can imagine. Well, maybe you remember the old Balablu Bulaba build up to the election.
The reality,
that propaganda. Dario Dumodede says Nigeria, Oma Sheu. Okay. Oluwafe says most of Nigerians are lazy, always looking for one missile from nowhere to save them without making effort on their own to solve it. What some Nigerians know how to do best is to point to government mistakes, which is right thing to do. But we also fail to tell ourselves what we're not doing right. But we also make government. We should stop looking for whom to blame when ourselves have not even done our own part. Thank you very much. I enjoyed that. Stand before the world leaders with this type of demand when they know the extravagant spending going on in the country.
But the vice president is there.
I mean, he just moved into a 21 billion naira apartment. This type of demand can only come from country like Argentina, etc., another part of the north. See the confession and the allegations that are flying from a serving governor, and now the defense minister always negotiating with bandits, which means they know who things. Okay, FG will send you. Okay, I don't usually sell conversation of stereotypes here, so I have to cut that part of your message. Let's get back to the phone line. 0913-600-0410. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Mainland FM.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First of all, let me just talk about the issue of the bandits. Mr. Pᴏ, you remember there was a time we have a publication of those people behind. What happened about it? Nothing. Nothing happened. We didn't hear anything. The government did not take any step. That is number one. And you remember the past government, even though and the amnesty they are giving them. Haram is always a Boko Haram. you give them a amnesty. They are still related with their people. So when you look at the whole issue, it's like our government is not serious about the issue. Nothing. The government is not doing anything about it. You see, these are part of untouchable people. But let me now come back to the issue of the Dangote confessing that there's a cabal in the oil sector. The Nigeria is finished. The big refinery, the biggest refinery in Africa.
Alhaji Subar.
Yes.
I understand the pain we're all feeling, but I find it a bit disturbing when we
will not be finished. Okay, and you see, it's a kind of based on the level of Dangote. It pains me so much. That's why I mentioned that word.
I understand.
But it's being withdrawn. As God will not destroy this. God will not allow them to destroy this our country.
Thank you.
But then on the issue of there's something I want to tell you in the morning. You understand? Which Mr. Pᴏ, we need to echo it very well. Do you know that we all live in Lagos? You see, the sanitation of this miscreant or the so-called area boys. My tire has a problem at Leventis. This thing has been happening, and a lot of transporters have been complaining. Now we have new police commissioner. Lagos, like we are talking about Nigeria, we don't allow people to destroy this Lagos.
Thank you.
Please.
It's almost everywhere now in Lagos. It's not just Bank Anthony. Even here, your car breaks down, then the way the boys run out, to the money you pay them is even going to be more than what you need to fix your car. They don't even care whether you have money to pay them. They just hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
This is Madam Missy.
Good to have you, Madam. It's glad to hear from you.
Do you think the people that you are telling to give you debt for dividends, they don't know how you are using the one you have borrowed frivolously, buying things that are not supposed to be poor, and you are telling me that they should forgive you? Go and live and unfair life, unfair government, then pay your debt. If you ask me, nobody should give Nigeria debt forgiveness for come. Nobody can pay our debt. As for that, Farag and Okoyemi. So during Buhari time, some people brought the raw gold back. Tinubu never sit down. They don't bring consumers to raw gold back, and he said they are calling them bandits instead of thieves. But people say they stole crude oil, Nigerian West. What of gold? Is it a Nigerian West? They are all thieves. Good afternoon. I'm sitting in my hospital.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Get well soon. Chima from Surulere says, good afternoon, mainland. I believe vote buying affect the election, but the major rigging of the election was at the collation center. Okay. For taking toilet tissue paper out of the toilets. It was eventually repatriated. Wow. You're doing. Side Forward is such an intelligent man. God bless you guys. On the issue of Bobrisky, we've heard this before, is a needless distraction. Now from Festus all the way from Ikorodu. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Mainland FM.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
You don't know maybe General Gusa or which one are you calling?
In fact, I don't know. We find way to just make ourselves happy a little bit, because when we start listening to this Nigerian problem, I don't know. Sometimes you will not even sleep. I'm telling you. If you remember, I told you something concerning Matawale being relevant today in Nigeria. In Nigeria today, who make them relevant? Both Wike and somebody that have that kind of allegation, and you went ahead, you ignore all the allegations, you went ahead and appoint him as a minister. This for the president, telling us that it is only NNPC that one of revelation that is happening between Dangote and the NNPC, and the president is keeping silent. He's not saying anything, and everything stop on the table of the president. And if he cannot address this issue, then you should just pack his clothes and leave.
Thank you very much. Side Forward, the messages are endless. The calls are not stopping anytime soon, from Facebook to Okay, this one says, good afternoon, Mainland FM. I enjoyed your show today, very engaging as usual. What Said Fuad said about the structure that we need in this country is valid. Until we make sure that institutions are not as powerful, are not less powerful than individuals, we cannot make any progress in this country. Okay, this one says, at the end of the day, nothing will happen from that video that was leaked. Like we said, it is not new. This is not the first time. Aside for that, I mean, we have to caution people. We have to put them in line with, you know, things they can see. Tomorrow is issue the judiciary. Today is insecurity. Can we just be intentional about fixing this country? And when I say we, it involves you and I. About our leaders,